trust your gut. This is something I'm really honing in on at age 50. Um, we are given that feeling, I think, for a reason. And a lot of times we don't listen to it because we want the job, we want the money, we want the security. All these reasons are not worth taking on a job that you don't have the right gut feeling about it. It's super competitive. It's very important to be intentional about what you're doing, that the relationship has to be a good one. And you really have to mature to learn that your client, your relationship with your client is the most important thing, and their happiness.
What's up, you guys? It's your girl Bianca Bee, and welcome to the Bianca Bee Show, where we talk about business, finances, and friendships. So today we're joined by Shea Bryars, principal of Shea Bryars Design, with over 20 years of experience in interior design and a degree from Auburn University. From managing idea houses for Southern accents and Southern living to founding her own firm, Shea's work is celebrated for blended, timeless elegance with modern touches. I'm super excited to talk to interior designer. I've never talked to someone who's done interior designer. And my boyfriend's always like, you love interior design. So like you need to talk to somebody professionally about interior design. So I'm super, super excited about today's show. First, I always like to do like a breaker, icebreaker. If you could only use three colors in a room for the rest of your career, which would you choose and why?
Oh, that's I love all the colors. I always say white is my favorite color. Um, Although I feel like lately we're really moving away from a lot of white, but my favorite, if I had three for the rest of my life, would probably be white and aqua and mm, orange.
Oh, orange. Okay.
Yeah. Well, just as a side note, in design we really do think about the color wheel. Um, and so you always want a color opposite of a color in your space. Um, to sort of create a punch, and orange is across from blue. So
But you have had such an impressive career in design. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you first became interested in interior design?
yeah, so I grew up, my mom always loved design. My house was always decorated. She always was working with designers. I thought everybody lived like that. They don't. But it sort of innately was in me to love it and just to sort of almost expect it. Um, and then I left and I went to Auburn and I declared my major in accounting, which okay. I'm terrible at math. Like, it's a joke now that that was even ever a thing. But my roommate actually was an interior design major, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I love your homework. Like, can I help? I want to do that." And so I changed, actually, to my parents' dismay, my junior year from accounting to design. So I was there for 5 years, which was completely fine with me. But anyway, so then I got really serious and I really loved it and just excelled at it. I'm sort of an artist as well, just God given gift. Can't really brag about it. I can draw pretty much everything. And so it just was a natural fit. So anyway, I graduated in design. I specialized in kitchen and bath design, and to do that, I had to get an internship in kitchen design. So I worked at a kitchen firm in Atlanta. The nicest family, just really shepherded me. Met my children's father, who I'm now divorced from, and moved to Birmingham, Alabama, and worked for another amazing kitchen designer. And then from there, I started working at Southern Living and Southern Accents magazines. Honestly, I can't even brag by gift or swagger. I I knew somebody that knew somebody and got a job there because I'd always wanted to do that. And so I managed their Idea House program, and I didn't actually do any of the design. I managed the designers doing the design, which was such an amazing experience. Just working for those companies back then was amazing. When print was so much where we went, for inspiration. I still get magazines, but so it just really prepared me for all the things that weren't necessarily related to what people think designers do. It was like the procurement, the plan, the how just all the moving parts behind the scenes, and then these amazing designers that that today are like world renowned, like Suzanne Kassler and Philip Sides and a whole slew of architects. And I mean, it was just such a gift to work there. And also I got to travel. The houses are always somewhere really cool, like the beach or the mountains. And um, so I think it really prepared me for what I do now. And from there, I actually worked for a construction company locally and started their interior design program. So I learned all that side of design, the construction building process, remodeling process. What does the builder do first? What do they do next? All of that. And so I feel like all that experience that I got, just, I couldn't have even written it, has prepared me to own my own company. Um, and helped me see, not just, it's not just a pretty sofa or a pretty fabric. It's all those other things.
That's amazing. And something you mentioned earlier was that you basically built a relationship with someone and got an opportunity. And, with jobs, especially, we talk on this platform about how relationships are so important. What
Mhm.
have you learned about the industry and building those solid relationships, especially with design? Because everyone has their own creative
Yeah.
process, right? And so when you're
Right.
shadowing people or interning for people or whatever the case may be, everyone has a different eye. So what advice can you give to people with building relationships?
Well, I mean, honestly, that is the thing in my business. It's all about the relationship with the client, with my vendors, with the builders, I mean, I'm all referral really. I get published and sometimes advertised, but most always it's just word of mouth that somebody was really happy with what I did and tell somebody else. Um, you work with somebody for so long in my business that the relationship has to be a good one. And I think, it can be an aggravating business, which I'm sure is true in all the businesses. And you really have to mature to learn that your client, your relationship with your client is the most important thing, and their happiness. And so it's a real fine line of um dancing with, your intelligence and your knowledge and what you bring to the table, but also respecting what they are looking for. Um and I think too, just like the networking process is really important. We have a real strong design community in Birmingham, and we have events all the time where we're all there. I think it's really important that you go to these things, you go to continuing education, you go to the events that are related to your business. You become a part of the community you're in. I think it's such a danger now that we get behind screens, and we don't communicate as much anymore. Um, and you do have to be intentional because yeah, it's a lot easier to sit at my desk behind my computer screen. But I think about, like, what was the best thing I did this week? It always involves people. That lunch I had with my rep, or just communicating, reaching out, and making that important, I think makes you a successful business owner.
Mm. And transitioning from, working with other publications to creating now your own firm, what have you learned throughout the process? Or what was that pivot for you where you were like, okay, I can start my own business now?
Well, so I guess that's sort of twofold. One, the builder that I worked for, which is the company I was with before I started my own business, um, really sort of let me go, so to speak, and it was like I was running my own business just under their sort of protection. Um, but also the magazine showed me, because I was working with other designers, how they related to their client, which we were their client. The magazine was their client. So and our goal was advertisers, and the people that advertised with us had to be happy with what was in our idea house. And so this designer, that was their client. And it was just sort of a great learning experience to see how they managed that. I tell people a lot, I'm like a marriage counselor because, there's always two opinions, almost always, with clients, the husband and the wife, or, the partners, and they're almost always different. So you really do have to learn how to make everybody happy. Um, and if you establish yourself with confidence as, the professional in the relationship, as the one that knows, they will look to you, um, and let you decide. I mean, there are a few who don't, and then, also relationships sometimes don't work. Um, and I think that's key too, is to know when they're not working, and not continue. Which I'm grateful to say that's probably happened to me 5 times. So
And so, with people who want to start their own business, especially with interior design, like people who are coming out of college and, they've done their internships, they've done like the 10 years, they put in their hours and they want to pivot to creating a business. What are some like 3 tips that you can give?
well, I think, you're right. It's super competitive. It's very important to be intentional about what you're doing in this field. Um, I'll say too that there are a lot of people coming out of school in design, and there are a lot of people that decide that they're designers. That have a knack for making a home pretty. I think one thing that's super important is to set yourself apart as somebody that has that degree and who is capable and been taught interior architecture, where you can move a wall around, you can design a kitchen, down to the door style of the cabinet, and the placement of everything. Because that does make you different. And I think a lot of people get confused because there's a lot of noise in the design industry. I think the other thing is a lot of people come out of college and think, I just want to start my own business. Um, I mean, and you can, but I think it's so important to surround yourself with other designers to begin with. I mean, even if it's you're working for a fabric company, or you're working for a furniture line, or you're working for another designer and you're literally running errands, um, you have to keep your humility and know that it's all valuable. Um, all of those things help you get to where you want to be. And it's just a lot of patience, that soak it up, pay attention, watch how, they're conceptualizing, watch how they relate to clients. Like, notice what's not going well and what is going, I think you just have to, yeah, really be a sponge. And like I said, with my resume, I've sort of worked for all types, high end, budget friendly, remodel, new build, just decorating, all those things. All that gave me the confidence to start my own gig. And I mean, honestly, in this business, you are learning every day. I mean, every job I have a new addition to my checklist, just like check the plugs next to the window. I mean, just like, because this job, that one was too close. I mean, every day it's a new thing because it's not a perfect sport, so to speak. But but I think that is the most important thing. Set yourself apart, and then um surround yourself with good people.
Yeah. And going to finances and budgeting, with home decor and just interior design, let's talk from the consumer side, the person
Yeah.
that is buying, just got their first apartment and it's a smaller space. What tips can you give, and like how should you start if you have like a 1 bedroom, 1 bath? Like where should you start? Where should
Yeah.
you get ideas from? What are some of your tips?
Okay. So I think the first thing is to know yourself. Okay, that sounds super like psychology, but a lot of people don't really think enough about, what do I love? Like, what is my quote look? What is my finished vision? And I always tell my clients in the beginning, I need from you a file of all the spaces you've seen you loved. From Pinterest, from a magazine, your neighbor's house that you took a sneak shot of her kitchen, what inspires you? And then that gives me sort of a great path to keep us on as we go. But so if you're just bought your first space, you want to remodel, or you want to decorate and you don't know where to start, that's where you start. And then from there you make that your floor plan. That is your North Star, so to speak. That is, don't veer off that path. If you're doing a bathroom and you're like, I really want it to look like vintage farmhouse, and then you go look at plumbing and you see a faucet that is super cool modern, no, walk away. Because that's what happens. The thing to start with is the biggest things. With your budget, if you can afford a sofa and that's it, buy the nicest sofa you can afford, because that is going to be used every day. If you can't afford a rug, don't buy a cheap rug. Just don't have a rug. You can buy inexpensive coffee tables, side tables, lamps. Wayfair does a great job of providing for that. But if you're wanting to invest, start with the thing you're using the most, because it's going to wear out quickest. And then if you're, trying to figure out, if you buy a home and you're trying to figure out, okay, I have this much money, what do I do with it? Like, where do I put it first? I mean, the public spaces are where you put it. Because this is what our homes are. We're inviting people in. Our families are enjoying it. Where we eat, where we watch television, where we read, where we hang out. Put your money there first. Put it in the powder room. Put it in your kitchen. And then, like, sort of to narrow that down, your lighting is a great place to start to elevate your space. There are so many budget-friendly lines that are sort of copying the very expensive lines. You can change the lighting in a house and change the whole space.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's super important. And scale, we can talk about that in a minute, but scale is where people make the most mistakes. They always go too small. Like when you're flipping through a magazine, notice the size of the lights that designers use. And the boob light, come on, let's get rid of that. It's time for that to go. Let's rip the boob light. And change that out. Get rid of the boob lights. Let's put something pretty there. And again, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars to do that. And then pillows, like, say you are using your sofa from college and you just really want your house to look like a grown-up house. Get nice pillows with nice fabric and the secret is the insides. A lot of our pillows just look sad and limp. You want your inside to look full. And the secret is buy the insert bigger than the pillow. So if you have a 20-inch square pillow, buy a 22-inch insert. That will make your pillow look like a designer did it. Etsy is a great spot to find designer pillows. Etsy's a great spot for rugs that are less drapery. I mean, really, these people that are sort of selling their trades there, you can really get a designer look for less. And then another thing is wallpaper and paint. Paint's pretty cheap. You can really elevate your space on a budget with just paint. Use a really dark color in a room, and do the ceiling, the molding, the windows, everything the same color. Voila! All of a sudden, it's interesting. Hang a gorgeous light in there. It looks like you paid a designer.
And then, what are some challenges you faced within your career? What was like one of the biggest, lessons and challenges you faced within your business?
So I said earlier, I'm learning every day. My biggest challenges typically are with the client, not trusting what we're doing. And I think, just as an advice, sort of in a bigger perspective for your listener, trust your gut. This is something I'm really honing in on at age 50. We are given that feeling, I think, for a reason. And a lot of times we don't listen to it because we want the job. We want the money. We want the security. All these reasons are not worth taking on a job that you don't have the right gut feeling about it. So my biggest challenges have truly been the clients I've taken on when I knew this is not going to end well. Um, and getting out of those is very difficult. Again, your referral reputation is at stake. There are two sides to stories, and sometimes one is not true. Um, and all that can be avoided if you just listen to your gut in the beginning. Um, there's always a red flag if you're paying attention. Um, so that's sort of a high view of the challenges that what they've taught me.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with
Yes.
me. Where can people follow you if they want to get tips and things like that?
I am Shea Bryars Design. It's SheaBryars Design. That's me on Instagram at Shea Bryars Design, on Facebook, and I have a website that's SheaBryarsDesign.com. Um, and yeah, I'm really active on Instagram. I try to be value adding, and I'll respond with questions people ask me. I'm not a gatekeeper. If you ask me where that light came from, I'll tell you. So yeah, I'd love to hear from your listeners, and I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. That meant so much to me. You gave really, really valuable tips, especially being a business owner, especially with pivoting. I've learned that a lot this year, and I appreciate
Yes.
you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at It's Bianca Bee and at Bianca Bee Show. We're streaming everywhere, so thank you so much. I appreciate it.